This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Prime Minister Moresby announces success of FIPIC Summit. Pomgen Cath Lab receives government funding. And preschool marks 18 years of service to young children. A very good evening. You're watching National Emtv News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. Papua New Guinea became host to the recent Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit. Prime Minister James Marape said Port Moresby hosted a full house of Pacific Island leaders and played host to a historic visit by Indian and New Zealand Prime Ministers respectively. Meantime, the Prime Minister has announced his travel plans to the nation during the media conference this afternoon.
I will be leaving over the weekend to travel to South Korea. And again, I'm traveling with all the South Pacific Island leaders. We're going to meet South Korea. Papua New Guinea will have our own bilateral with the President of South Korea. I intend to again promote investments and sourcing investors also from them. But
Deliverables and outcomes from the third Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit were made known today in a press briefing by the Indian High Commissioner to PNG, Inbasekar Sundaramurthy today. According to Sri Sundaramurthy, the multi-bilateral meet was an overwhelming success. With 2 Memorandum of Understanding signed, India will do more in the Pacific by providing healthcare and a cybersecurity hub for Port Moresby. These, among other deliverables, were revealed.
This is the moment that started the third Forum for Indo-Pacific Island Cooperation Forum on the right note. PNG's Prime Minister James Marape showing the ultimate respect and his humility to his counterpart, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This footage has gone viral on the Indian continent and stolen the hearts of the Indian people, which has propelled Prime Minister Marape's popularity to another level. According to the Indian High Commissioner, several deliverables were set out by India with its assistance to PNG and other Pacific countries following the FIPIC summit. The first was in healthcare.
India will set up a super specialty cardiology hospital in Fiji. This time it is in your brother nation. But that would be a hub to attend to all the Pacific Island countries. That will cater also to the Pacific. But it is set up in Fiji, as you say. India has to balance to all the Pacific Island countries, out of which Papua New Guinea and Fiji will have as a presence because our embassies are based there.
The High Commissioner revealed that a Jaipur foot camp for prosthetic limbs will be set up in PNG.
We would conduct a Jaipur foot camp. Jaipur foot camp Jaipur foot is called the prosthetic limb for the people who lost their limbs because of diabetes or any other lifestyle disease. India has a concept called Jaipur foot, through which artificial prosthetic limbs are fitted in. And through this, India, it is giving a new lease of life for the person who has lost his life and limb.
A Centre of Excellence will also be set up at the University of Papua New Guinea for information technology and cybersecurity.
We are going to develop the Centre for Excellence in IT in University of Papua New Guinea into a regional information technology and cyber security hub. The University of PNG will be transformed, its Center for Excellence, into a regional information technology and cyber security hub. How to do that? We are going to start working, partner with UPNG to implement that.
The Indian Prime Minister Grand Chief Narendra Modi is currently in Australia, and he has assured all Pacific Island nations that India is the development partner for the Global South with its Act East policy. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
The cardiac service arm of the Port Moresby General Hospital received a generous amount of funding from the government through the Minister for State Enterprises, William Duma, today.
For many years, Papua New Guineans have been fundraising to seek advanced cardiac services overseas. However, we can now access these services in-country at the Port Moresby General Hospital. State Enterprises Minister William Duma made a check presentation today to the Port Moresby General Hospital Cath Lab.
Our job as government is to continue to encourage them and to, where possible, within our limited budgetary constraints, either through the National Development Budget or through state-owned agencies like Kumul Consolidated Holdings Limited, continue to provide that assistance. And today, I want to acknowledge the hard work of the management team at Kumul Consolidated Holdings Limited, led by Professor Kavanagh and the board, in resolving to allocate 1,950,000 kina to the Port Moresby General Hospital Cath Lab section to enable Dr. Bogo and his team to continue the good work they are doing for our country.
Minister Duma added that Papua New Guinea now has the facility to treat heart disease patients, and they stand committed to support the hospital.
This country now has the facility to be able to do angiogram and all the other treatments or procedures that are normally found overseas. In the past, many of our citizens have gone to the extent of the inconvenience of organizing their traveling overseas, and paying fees which, based on PNG standards, are quite expensive. So what we have now is expertise that's now available in country, expertise that's provided not by foreigners, but by our very own Papua New Guineans.
Kumul Consolidated Holdings Managing Director Professor David Kavanagh reiterated what Minister Duma said in terms of supporting this vital health service.
On behalf of Kumul Consolidated Holdings, the Minister, the Marape Rosa government, we're happy to support the hard work that our specialist doctors at the Port Moresby General Hospital do to our people out there in the community.
POMGEN intervention cardiologist Dr. Wesong Boko expressed appreciation on the support in funding given today.
Help that the team here with the good minister given to us is very important, because with that help, we're going to buy an intra-arterial ultrasound scan. If you come to the hospital, we put the scan outside, and then we do, and this time, no. The scan is going to be introduced into this little artery here or down here. We push it right into your heart, into the coronary artery itself. And we will scan right in your coronary artery. And that in itself, it's a really cutting edge, and it's a way forward. It's a step ahead for us since we start off. So that is one of the equipment that the good minister and the team, the MD here, your help will take us that far.
The money will go towards purchasing of a scanning machine and drill, which will enhance the work they do. Florence Jonduo, National Emtv News.
The Evangelical Lutheran Church of PNG Head Bishop Reverend Dr. Jeku Rame says any decision the government want to make and will affect or impact the people, they must consult the people first. He said this following the recently signed Defense Cooperation Agreement between PNG and USA.
The Reverend stressed that there have been protests and complaints by the people across the country, including the students, because of lack of knowledge on what the document contained and would mean for the country.
At a church organization. So from our perspective, I think there is a lack of consultation, and also there is also a lack of knowledge. Because there was no transparency, and what is in that document, we actually don't know. And so the lack of knowledge and lack of consultation leads to misunderstanding.
He expressed that there should have been consultations done with the people and proper processes should have been followed prior to the signing.
The Prime Minister, where I think the document will be debated in Parliament. But will that, change, the document? Will that even, reverse back and undo the things? I think that the process is not poor.
He added that he is more concerned with the sovereignty of the country in this regard.
I do not see much from the military perspective, but it's about the sovereignty of our nation. And how do we exist as a nation, as a country, and how do we try to address the issues that we are facing at this time when the geopolitical landscape of the world is shifting, and there is a growing tension of the military presence around the world. We also need to be very careful.
The Reverend emphasized that the people of PNG need more economic empowerment, and that is the area the government should focus on. Natasha Ovoy, National Emtv News.
National Emtv News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National Emtv News. And to our earlier story, Papua New Guinea became host to the recent Forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit. Prime Minister James Marape said Port Moresby hosted a full house of Pacific Island leaders and played host to a historic visit by Indian and New Zealand Prime Ministers respectively.
In a media conference this afternoon, Prime Minister James Marape highlighted some key outcomes of the recent FIPIC summit and related bilateral talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
For Papua New Guinea, I want to inform all of us that we are stepping up our work with India going forward from here. India offers us a third alternate in the way we relate with nations and economies around us. Many in our contemporary conversation talks about the China-USA issues. Many talk about the East-West issues. For me, for Papua New Guinea, India coming up close is a big market opening for our exports, a big market opening for the import.
Prime Minister Marape cautioned that his government will not repeat some faults that occurred during APEC 2018 and that these recent talks with India will be more on trade and commerce, education and health, and focusing on improving the lives of Papua New Guineans.
I will be working also with India. There's a special technical college to be set up here that will also bring Indian-based technologies into our country. And we will work with the Indian government to expand and partnering one local vocational school here, as well as our national government will offer a campus or a land here for us to set up a specific technical school that will bring in Indian trade courses, Indian skill courses.
He further announced that in partnership with India, a technical education institution will be set up here. Prime Minister Marape said his Indian counterpart left the country in awe of our culture and with so much gratitude for Papua New Guineans. Lindy Suharupa, National Emtv News.
The Wainigella Preschool, located in the heart of Koki Market, has been serving the community there since 2005. Children as young as 5 have benefited from this initiative by a woman from Wainigella village who is passionate at what she does.
These are students from Koki Wainigella Preschool. They have all gathered together with their parents to celebrate the school's 18th anniversary today. The school was an initiative of Mrs. Waira Berua and her late husband. and emotional Mrs. Berua talks about her determination and passion to teach.
After 16 years, I lost my husband to the world. I thought of closing down the school, but in the beginning of last year, there were parents from the community and other centers of Moresby South coming and asking me when will I start the school. This year, beginning of the year, when I prayed, I came. On the first week, I enrolled 12 children. Second week, I enrolled 24. The third week, it went flooded up to 116.
The school, through the initiative of Mrs. Berua, teach the students phonics and basic reading and comprehension skills, preparing them for grade 2 or even 3 in the next phase of their education. Though Mrs. Berua and her assistant teachers do all this teaching work voluntarily, they say serving the community is serving God. The school commemorated its 18th anniversary today with dances and songs by the students. The school has strived to endure its tough times all throughout the years and has produced some excellent academic performances by former students who are now in tertiary institutions. The Wainigella Preschool still operates on a voluntary basis. However, the teachers headed by Mrs. Berua are passionate to teach these students at an early age. Lindy Suharupa, National Emtv News.
The fisheries, cocoa and vanilla farmers in the remote parts of East Sepik and West Sepik provinces are greatly benefiting from the Straight PNG program in terms of infrastructure, rural financial inclusion, installation of solar power, information communication and digitalization.
The aim of the Straight PNG program is to briefly provide interventions that would transform the rural subsistence form of production to a more business-oriented form so people can make money that will improve their livelihoods. The cocoa farmer from Lumi of West Sepik Province, Thomas Metney, says the Straight program is very effective and it has helped boost their cocoa farming.
One thing I talk, thank you Straight PNC. Oligam oli alvim tla work black regal saya lo cocoa farming. Especially cocoa farming ya lo game na album na pustim. Nivla lo kolo kama lo people production lo cacao marketing something industry. So it's very effective.
The people who lived at Tumlio island of Aitape were also trained by the officers from the Straight program on marine sustainability. A fisherman from the island confirmed that the training has helped them a lot on the fishing techniques and by preserving the smaller ones for future generations.
We more advice how look out in reef, look out in more fish, and how catch them tuna or long line. The people something to long and fat.
A farmer from Yelum village of Nuku district of Sundown province, Joshua Wyatt, stated that since the Straight program started in 2019, it has supported them and brought a lot of changes to their daily lives. He also stressed that through this program, it has helped them to build their new church building in the village.
Outcome benefit belong program, mipla kisim, mipla lukan planti senis. Time director or big brother mi losing work na kam and mi establishing work lo kakao lo place and mi la putting money lo pocket mi bla lo starting lo work mi bla even cross pulling tighting mi bla no looking money but time mi bla work on a program lo straight come inside and mi supporting big through.
Esther Gane, National Emtv News.
Meanwhile, proper road and transportation is the biggest challenge that farmers are facing, and in order to transport the goods to the markets. People in the remote areas of the East and West Sepik provinces are calling on the government to upgrade the Sepik national highways for easy transportation and to avoid the harmful holdups happening along the road.
Under the International Labour Organization of Strait program, they are focusing on infrastructure by upgrading a total of 18 roads in East and West Sepik that leads to the villages where most of the farmers reside. However, more needs to be done as most of the people at Lumi, Nuku and Aitape are residing in the remote areas. These people have to walk for hours to reach the Sepik highway, and yet Sepik highway is not up to the standard where you will easily see vehicles traveling. A fish farmer at Lumi district of West Sepik, who walked for 4 to 5 hours to reach the Sepik highway, says they have about 462 fish ponds with thousands of fish, but they cannot take them to markets due to the bad road system.
Plenty sales plum plus a salilo street, carry fish walk about lo distance market, carry lo pot packet. Some of the time mi blind na sa walking money, sa make lost. So road condition is not right. Transport na sa kupay ni Mibla. Okay, all LB mo sa sambla kain luksawe block up manin sa orichi Mibla Tumas.
A spokesman of Bulukum village of Yankok LLG of Nuku district stressed that no proper road and lack of security along the Sepik highway has caused a lot of killings and hold-ups on the road when traveling from Wewak to West Sepik. He confirmed that so far, 5 people were killed due to harmful hold-ups on this road.
Available politicians, almost retimol road plumibla. Almost retimol police patrol plumibla. Tesla make him na me invite him to the kind of I'm hold up na I bring big lo pagrab Islamic community plumibla. I bring big lo pagrab Islamic community plumibla. Suppose all politicians plumibla is set up na put him kula road network. I put him kula security plumibla. Me no think people lo ye pa trouble na patients la problem. Islam old up here. Emi how many months is stabbing along 1 year? How many times is stabbing along 1 year na? Killings. So far, lo Yankok, even stabbing along Nugu. So far, we losing 5 life in this road. Travel this road taso. Antab longem. I got 4 life can blow Haitepe. You lose him. Total of 9 lives. Blow Sundown.
A cocoa farmer from Lumi says, for them to travel to Wewak, it is quite a distance, and it is hard for them to transport their cash crops. He also mentioned that cocoa borer infestation is a big issue for them.
Similar like him long now, straight this road. Road is very important to us. We need him road now because we have protection. Salim this lab.
Estagane, National Emtv News.
Ramoniko's Coastal Pipeline Women's Association are encouraging other women's associations in the 4-project corridor of Kurumbukari, Inland Pipeline and Basamuk of the Ramoniko and Cobalt project to make profitable use of their yearly royalty payments from the company. The call was made by Coastal Pipeline Women's Association Vice Chairlady Mrs. Catherine Munia, who said this when successfully receiving the association's 420-foot, 40-horsepower dinghy that cost a total of 37,000 kina from Ella Motors Medang branch on Monday, the 15th of May.
The successful forward purchase of this dinghy was based on the Women's Association portion of the royalty for 2021 that the association used to secure a loan from the bank. Catherine Munia said their portion of their royalty payment for 2021 was invested for a loan with the People's Microbank branch in Medang.
This is all moto mi blaksi memlo money blo loyalty yet. Plakate mi go down low. Association mi plakate mi go down no triple zone. So this la triple zone only by moto na ron lo sulwara because lo helping all mama is lo place na all baka lo market kam la usi kam la walking all sampla walk lo bank kind of same. So mi plan no like lo bagar him this la money loyalty all game mi pla laki masigat Mipla must make him walk long him. So all mama narapla can look him. Mipla like him on narapla association too. All must make him most mipla walk him. So mipla got 4 pla association. KBK Maigare na Coastal na Basamu. So this line must me talk cause molnara platu all must make him one kind na yusim slamani good.
Siroi's own chair lady, Miss Melinda Itag, said the Women's Association has seen fruitful outcomes from the portions of the 2021 royalty money since last year.
Transport problem lo mipla lo zone lo mipla mbipla trona. Or project where mipla got him lo the royalty payment mipla sa short lo side the transport. So mipla like him was an association must fund mipla lo transport. So mipla something about mipla can make him profit lo project lo mipla.
Ramuniko's Community Affairs Officer, Mr. Sakis Abaro, said the company is very proud to see the Coastline Pipeline Women's Group busy, engaged with the People's Microbank in Medane to make profitable investments from their royalty. He said for each women's group in the project's corridor to be qualified is to involve in such activities. They should have or create an account with the bank, and the bank can recommend them should they request for loans.
They have done it well. They have 3 groups within the coastal pipeline area. We have Marika zone, we have Bugatti zone and Siroi zone. Siroi zone got 1 lately. Bugatti zone have 2 dinghies and Marika have 1 dinghies.
The Women's Association Ramuniko Coastline Pipeline has seen the benefits of making use of the royalty funds and have continued to push for more benefits under this scheme. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
Now taking a look at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2830 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yokina was buying $0.2755, $0.4182 Australian dollars, $0.2486 euro, 37.94 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National Emtv News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National Emtv News. Moving on to overseas news now and to U.S. politics. Governor of Florida Ron DeSantis has officially entered the U.S. presidential race.
That's right. There were several 100,000 of us at that point trying to listen to this announcement. It's been much anticipated. Ron DeSantis has said he wanted to finish doing what he needed to do in his job as Florida governor for this legislative period. And now he's going to start looking forward to 2024. We could hear the moderator, David Sachs, and Elon Musk discussing the technical problems, saying, oh, look, I think we're melting the servers, straining the servers. We've just got so many people on. It was really like one of those embarrassing early Zoom meetings of the pandemic where people just couldn't figure it out. The feed at that one point after about 20 minutes then went totally dead, and then it came back on, and finally Ron DeSantis was able to start making his pitch as to why the Republican Party should choose him to go forward for the 2024 presidential election. But of course, what this will be remembered for are those technical problems, and there are already headlines out there playing with Ron DeSantis' name, saying this is a disaster, for example, playing with DeSantis. Joe Biden's team tweeted out a campaign poster, a campaign image of himself and Kamala Harris saying this link works. And Donald Trump clearly watching on. Somehow he's using his social media platform to point out that it is working, that his red button, which is the red is the color associated with his Truth Social platform, is working. So a very rocky start after really the most anticipated campaign launch for the Republican Party, because Ron DeSantis is going to be seen as the biggest challenger to Donald Trump.
And in Australia, the elderly woman that was tested by a New South Wales police officer has died while being admitted in the hospital.
And it is pretty tragic news that's come out of this incident. So late yesterday evening, police had confirmed the passing of 95-year-old great-grandmother Claire Nowland, and they said that she had died peacefully, surrounded by friends, family and loved ones. Now, Mrs Nowland's family had remained by her bedside in Cooma Hospital since an altercation had unfolded between herself and New South Wales Police last Wednesday. So officers were called to an aged care facility, Yallambi Lodge, which is in Cooma, following reports from staff that Mrs Nowland had been seen carrying around a serrated steak knife. Now, when the two responding officers, when they arrived at the facility, they had reportedly seen Mrs Nowland approach them very slowly, as you mentioned, with that steak knife, while also holding her walking frame. In response, the senior constable, one of the two officers that had responded to the incident, had fired his taser at Mrs Nowland to subdue her. That caused her to fall and fracture her skull. She was then transported to Cooma Hospital, where she had remained in a critical condition for the last week or so. But this news has certainly shocked much of the local community in Cooma, even making international headlines. Now, Mrs Nowland was a well-known figure of the local community, having also volunteered at local charity-run organisations, even notably celebrating her 80th birthday by skydiving over Canberra, which was reported by the ABC. In recent years, however, Mrs Nowland had been suffering from dementia.
A truck driver is due to face court after being charged for attempted murder of two police officers in Queensland, Australia.
Police are saying that about 4 a.m. yesterday in Oakey, a truck and a ute were allegedly stolen from a premise in Oakey. Now, police were tracking those vehicles throughout the day, and at around about 1:30 p.m, police located and tried to intercept the allegedly stolen truck in Moringandan. So Moringandan is about 20 minutes outside of Toowoomba. It's a little rural town just outside Toowoomba. Now, two police officers got out of their car and tried to intercept that truck, and during that time, that truck rammed them and the car. They were both in serious conditions after that incident and were both taken to hospital. Then the truck went to, Gumbunji, which is just outside of Moringandan as well, to a waste facility there. And another two police cars were allegedly rammed by that truck then, and two other police officers were injured, but they were minor injuries and were treated at the scene. A 45-year-old man from Oakey was taken into custody at the scene and overnight was charged with attempted murder.
Back to USA, a world-renowned credit rating agency has put the AAA rating of the United States on negative credit watch.
Meanwhile, the White House is warning of catastrophe if the US defaults, saying it could lead to millions of job losses and a recession. The Biden administration is hoping to break the deadlock over the debt ceiling talks, with Republican leaders trying to negotiate more spending cuts. The Treasury Department has warned the US government could be unable to pay its bills as soon as the 1st of June. The White House says both sides need to consider the huge cost of defaulting.
Averting default is the responsibility of every single member of Congress. Think about what's at stake here. And that's what we've been doing. We've been laying out for weeks, for months, what is at stake. A default would have catastrophic impacts in every single part of this country, whether you're in a red state or in a blue state. It doesn't matter. Every single part of the country.
National Emtv News continues after the break with Trukai Sport. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with local sports, and President of the Desert Storm Kickboxing Club, Nelson Sampson, in an interview with MTV's Trukai Sports today, said the club is looking forward to hosting its first event for the year 2023. A total of 40 fighters are expected to compete come June 4th, with the event to be hosted at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Stadium.
This year, the Desert Storm Kickboxing Club under President Nelson Sampson will host their first event for 2023.
Probably 5 months. Desert Storm promotion have been in a training at the Sir John Guy Stadium. Ever since we hosted our first kickboxing show under Desert Storm promotion, that was on 31st March. And now we are looking forward for the international selection for the Southern Region Champion and Island Region Champion. They're both going to be happening at Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex on Sunday, June 4th, 2023. That's next week, Sunday.
President Nelson Sampson said the boys have been busy training at the Sir John Guy's Stadium.
Looking forward to confirm the fighters from Islands Region, especially Goroka, Simbu, Enga, Tari, Southern Islands, Again, all these fighters we are confirming. We're looking forward to hear from them today. Are they gonna coming for the fight next week, or we're gonna look for different fighters within the Southern region or within Port Moresby to engage the fighters in.
He said while there are more than 40 fighters in the club, other fighters have also travelled in from other parts of the country to attend the bout in June.
Yeah, in terms of sponsorship, we still haven't received any sponsors, but we are looking forward as we verbally got a word from NCDC governors, Paus Pakop, and I believe the event is it's hosted by PNG Kickboxing Federation.
He said the event will be hosted at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Stadium. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
International rep and PNG professional kickboxer Nelson Sampson, in an interview today with MTV's Trukai Sports, said he is preparing well for his upcoming bout next month.
Having started his training for his upcoming international bout this year in June in Sydney, Australia, PNG international kickboxer Nelson Sampson, in an interview today with MTV, said his training has been going well at the Sir John Guy's Stadium.
I'm preparing very well about my international bout on June 23rd. Regarding my exhibition fight, I'm also fighting on next week Sunday. With friends, family, and fans who have who never seen me fight in PNG and only heard about my name, please, you are most welcome to watch me do my exhibition fight in next week Sunday, June 4th at Stadium.
He said this is not the first time for him to represent PNG at the international stage.
Training very hard every day, 7 days a week, and putting all my time and effort on that training now. I've been fighting with so many very toughest fighters in Australia. I've did 18 professional fights since 2018 till now. 2023, this is going to be the first fight in 2023. But almost I've done 18 professional fights with some of the best Australian fighters.
Nelson, who is currently awaiting his visa despite financial constraints, said he is still training in preparation for the event. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Two overseas sports now and a professional Australian football club based in Victoria called Hawthorn sadly saw the immediate resignation of CEO Justin Reeves based on personal reasons.
In a statement, Reeves cited the personal toll of a difficult period at the club. An AFL investigation into historical allegations of mistreatment of First Nations players is ongoing. Last week, former Hawks coach Alistair Clarkson announced he was taking an indefinite break from his role at North Melbourne. Meanwhile, Richmond CEO Brendan Gale says the club isn't necessarily looking for a premiership-winning coach to take over from Damien Hardwick. Hardwick shocked the AFL world this week with his decision to step down. Andrew McAlter has taken over as interim coach. Gale says he admires how Hardwick developed into a three-time premiership coach.
One of the great things about Damien was he was obviously tactically very smart coach and great potential, but he was able to grow with the team. He was able to grow and they were invested in him and he was certainly invested in them. So that's a pretty important consideration.
In cycling, Australian cyclist Michael Matthews is within a whisk of winning another stage at this year's Giro d'Italia, a three-week Grand Tour cycling stage race. The race started on Monday on May 6th and will finish on the 28th of May in Rome.
The 32-year-old from Canberra was in front with 100 metres to go in the 17th stage, only to be beaten on the line in a sprint photo finish. Can you believe it? It does. We want to review Matthews, who won stage 3, had to settle for third, just centimetres behind Alberto Dainese and Jonathan Milan. Welshman Geraint Thomas retained the overall race lead of 18 seconds.
And in tennis, Swedish tennis player Mikael Timmer has been disqualified from the Lyon Open after he hit the umpire's chair with his racket.
The world number 53 was unhappy with a line call in the first set against French wildcard Arthur Fils. His outburst resulted in a swift default, which means the 18-year-old he was playing against, the Frenchman Fils, he's straight through to the quarterfinals of the tournament.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby City, cloudy with some rain showers, drizzles and possible thunderstorms. Daru, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms. Kerema, cloudy periods with evening rain periods. Alatau, rain showers and possible thunderstorm. Popondetta, rain showers and thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.